Assalamu alaikum, my dear brothers and sisters. We live in a world that constantly whispers about scarcity. Scarcity of money, scarcity of love, scarcity of solutions. Our hearts tighten with worry over Rizq. They ache for genuine connection and love. They feel heavy with unsolvable problems. And in this noise, we search everywhere for the secret formula, the magical shortcut. But what if I told you that the most powerful wazifa, the most potent spiritual procedure, is not a secret sentence buried in a book? What if it is instead a divine invitation to a private meeting? That invitation is for tahajjud. The greatest wazifa is not just what you say in tahajjud, it is the act itself. It is you alone with the King of Kings in the deepest, most vulnerable hours of the night. That is the ultimate power. Rizq, let us, for a moment, quiet the noise of the world around us and turn our gaze inward to the landscape of our own hearts. It is a terrain familiar to each of us, marked by valleys of worry and peaks of aspiration, often shrouded in a fog of deep, unspoken yearning. We live in an age that bombards us with a relentless narrative of scarcity. It whispers to us from every screen and headline, telling us there is not enough. Not enough security, not enough affection, not enough time, not enough means. This whisper seeps into our souls, transforming into a palpable weight. We feel our hearts tighten muscle by muscle with a chronic anxiety over our Rizq, that comprehensive term for provision that encompasses not just our daily bread, but our livelihoods, our financial stability, the very means by which we sustain our families and fulfill our responsibilities in this world. The pressure is a constant companion, a loham of what if that colors our days. And alongside this, another ache persists, one that material wealth can never soothe. It is the heart's longing for love, not merely in a romantic sense, though that too is part of it, but for deep, authentic, unshakable connection, for being seen, understood, and cherished, for harmony in our homes, for bonds with our families that are fortresses of peace, for companionship that is a solace, not a strife. We yearn for hearts aligned with ours, for relationships that are source of divine mercy, not constant turmoil. We look around and sometimes see emptiness where we crave fulfillment, distance where we crave intimacy, and we wonder why this most fundamental human need feels so elusive, so conditional, so fragile. Then, layered upon these are the problems. They are the sudden storms and the persistent droughts of our lives, the health diagnosis that turns your world upside down, the conflict that fractures a relationship you thought was unbreakable, the obstacle in your path that seems insurmountable, the door that has slammed shut with a finality that echoes in your spirit. They are the worries that keep you awake, turning over solutions in your mind until they become a tangled knot with no loose end in sight. We feel the burden of them physically, the shoulders that will not relax, the mind that will not rest, the spirit that feels heavy, as if carrying a load meant for a back far stronger than our own. And in this noise, this internal cacophony of need, fear and longing, what do? We as human beings instinctively search for solutions. We scour the world for answers, for the secret formula, the magical shortcut, the guaranteed procedure. We seek out tips and strategies, we listen to endless advice, and in our spiritual longing, we often hunt for that one powerful wazifa, that specific prayer, that potent sequence of words that will act as a key to unlock these complex chambers of our lives. We look for the encrypted code, the hidden spiritual algorithm, believing it must exist somewhere, buried in a book or held in secret by a sage. We treat our profound spiritual needs as if they are a mathematical equation waiting for the right secret variable to solve it all at once. But what if I told you that the entire premise of this search, while well-intentioned, is looking in the wrong place? What if the most powerful wazifa, the most potent spiritual procedure, is not a secret sentence to be found? What if it is not something you discover written down, but something you answer? Imagine for a moment that the solution is not a cryptic text, but a divine, personal, and recurring invitation. An invitation issued not to a crowded hall, but to a private chamber. Not for a hurried public audience, but for a solitary, intimate meeting in the deepest, most silent hours of the night, when the distractions of the world have faded into nothingness and the canvas of your soul is bare. That invitation, my dear friends, has a name. It is the call to Tahajjud. This reframing changes everything. It shifts our paradigm from one of seeking a tool to use to preparing our hearts for a meeting to attend. The greatest wazifa is not merely the specific words you might utter in that sacred space, though heartfelt supplication is its lifeblood. No, the ultimate power, the foundational miracle, is the act itself. It is the monumental decision to rise, to willingly, consciously separate your physical self from the profound comfort of your bed, from the embrace of sleep at a time when every earthly impulse pulls you toward rest. It is the act of standing barefoot and vulnerable in the profound silence of the pre-dawn darkness, with nothing between you and the divine presence but your own humility and hope. This standing is your first and most powerful statement. It is a declaration written not with ink but with action that says to the Creator of the heavens and the earth, my hope in your mercy is greater than my desire for comfort. My need for your nearness is deeper than my need for sleep. My belief in your response is stronger than my exhaustion. You are in that moment prioritizing the divine connection over the most basic human necessity. You are proving your faith with your feet, your spine, your will. You are not a passive recipient hoping for a blessing to descend. You are an active seeker climbing the spiritual mountain in the dark to meet the dawn at its summit with your Lord. That intentional physical journey from the horizontal state of sleep to the vertical state of prayer is where the transformation begins. It is you alone with the King of Kings in the most vulnerable and honest hours of the night. That is the ultimate power. That is the gateway. Everything else, every answered plea, every eased burden, every opened door flows from that sacred, singular and sovereign encounter. The stillness you enter into during those moments is not merely an absence of sound, it is a presence in itself. It is a cosmic quietude where the soul's whispers become audible, where the heart's true petitions can rise unedited and pure, freed from the performative language we so often use in daylight hours. In this profound solitude, you are stripped of every title, every social mask, every worldly validation. You are not your profession, your bank balance, your reputation, or even your past mistakes. You are, quite simply, a servant standing before their master, a creation humbly addressing its creator. This radical authenticity is the fertile ground in which the seeds of real change are planted. When you stand for Tahajjud, you are not just performing a ritual act. You are engaging in a spiritual technology of immense potency, one that recalibrates your entire being from the inside out. You are aligning your biological rhythm, the rhythm of sleep and wakefulness, with the celestial rhythm, the rhythm of divine proximity and mercy that descends in that final third of the night, as described by our beloved Prophet A. This alignment is where the mechanics of the wazifa truly operate. For the problems that feel like mountains looming over you, Tahajjud is not a magic wand that makes them disappear in a flash of light. Rather, it is the process of being given a new pair of eyes with which to see the mountain and new strength with which to climb it. In the daylight, our problems appear as external monolithic threats. We wrestle with them intellectually, we scheme against them, we worry over their contours until they dominate our entire field of vision. But in the intimate prostration of the night prayer, something sacred occurs. As your forehead touches the ground, the ultimate posture of surrender, you are symbolically and energetically depositing the weight of that problem onto the ground beneath you. You are transferring the file, as it were, from your own overwhelmed desk to the infinite desk of the all-powerful, the all-wise. You are not just complaining about the burden, you are physically and spiritually handing it over. In return, what you receive is not always an immediate external solution spelled out in the sky. Often, what you receive first is sakina, a divine tranquility that descends into the heart. It is a quiet certainty, a softening of the internal panic, a warmth that thaws the frozen fear around your heart. This sakina is the prerequisite for all practical solutions. From this place of inner peace, your mind, no longer clouded by frantic anxiety, begins to see pathways it was blind to before. Ideas dawn with clarity. Patience is forged in the fire of submission. You may find the courage to take a necessary first step or the wisdom to wait. The mountain has not moved, but you have been given climbing gear, a guide, and an unshakable belief that the summit is not only reachable, but that you are not climbing alone. The burden is shared, and in that sharing it becomes bearable. Your problem is metabolized by your faith, transformed from a toxin of despair into a nutrient for spiritual growth. Similarly, for the ache of love that yearns for connection and harmony, Tahajjud works not by manipulating the hearts of others like a puppeteer, but by performing divine heart surgery on your own. We so often seek to be loved, to have our emotional accounts filled by other people. Yet people are limited vessels. They run dry, they falter, they have conditions. In the loneliness of the night prayer, you are directed to the only source of love that is unconditional, limitless, and eternal. You stand before Allah, who loves you infinitely more than a mother loves her child. You cultivate His love. You seek His pleasure. You ask, Allah, make me among those whom you love. This is the fundamental repair. When your own heart is filled, saturated, and secured by the love of the divine, a miraculous shift occurs. You are no longer a starving beggar at the door of other people's affection, desperate for scraps. You become a garden overflowing. A heart anchored in divine love radiates a different energy. It is peaceful, compassionate, forgiving, and whole. It does not cling desperately because its core need is already met. And Allah, in His infinite wisdom, promises that when you are beloved to Him, He places your love in the hearts of His other servants. It is a divine decree. The love you seek from a spouse, a child, a family member, begins to flow toward you not as a result of your desperate manipulation, but as a natural reflection of the heavenly love you now carry within. You mend your primary relationship, and the secondary relationships in your life begin to harmonize as a consequence. And for Rizq, the provision that fuels our material existence and causes us so much day-to-day anxiety, the Tahajjud paradigm dismantles our entire understanding of scarcity. We often think of Rizq as a fixed quantity, a limited pie we must fiercely compete for. Our prayers can become transactional. Allah, give me this job, grant me this deal, increase my wealth. But Tahajjud elevates this conversation. When you rise in the dark, you are not just asking for more of the world, you are building a taqwa, God consciousness in its most potent form. You are proving with your actions that your ultimate dependency is on Allah alone, not on a job, a market, or an economy. And Allah makes a profound contractual promise in the Quran as, and whoever fears Allah, He will make for him a way out and provide for him from where he does not expect. Quran 65 and 2/3. Tahajjud is the ultimate factory for producing taqwa. In that state, you are not merely a petitioner at the gate. You are a trusted servant in the private chamber of the King of all provision. Your act of rising is in itself a demonstration of that fear and hope. And the promise is that provision will come, but from a direction you could never have predicted or engineered. A closed door is not the end of your rizq. It is Allah redirecting your path to a door you didn't even know existed. The night prayer unlocks creativity, sharpens intuition, and brings you into alignment with opportunities that were always there, but which your previously anxious, scattered mind could not perceive. Your rizq is tied to your spiritual state, and Tahajjud is the supreme optimizer of that state. Thus, this nightly journey becomes the master key. It does not promise a life without challenges, but a self that is fundamentally transformed to meet those challenges from a position of strength, connection, and grace. It turns you from a victim of circumstances into a sovereign of your own spiritual destiny, walking hand in hand with divine guidance. The tears you shed in those prostrations are not signs of weakness. They are the solvent washing away the rust on your heart. Your whispered pleas are the direct line to the command center of the universe. And the trust you cultivate in that darkness is the unshakable foundation upon which a new day, and a new life can be built. This is the true wazifa. It is not a spell. It is a state of being.